Tommy Rex, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and I'm excited about today's episode. I like to mix things up a little bit. Everybody's used to me having musicians on and entertainers and fellow veterans and stuff, but there's a lot of topics out there that I'm curious about and I like to learn about, and this is definitely one of them. As a veteran who's been on his own spiritual journey since getting out, I like to see what's out there and what's available that can help me in my growth. And I think I have the right guest on today, talking with Amy Robeson. How are you doing, Amy?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. And I'm excited to have you on. I like to delve into journeys like this and see what I can learn for myself and of myself and help my audience out there, on their path as well. I think now more than ever, we need to kind of find that inner calling, and that peace, and
sure.
Hopefully we could get there. But usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to get a quick background. So do you remember originally what you wanted to be when you grew up?
You're going to laugh when I tell you. I wanted to be many things. One of them was a race car mechanic because I love taking things apart and putting them back together when I was a kid.
Awesome. And then where do you feel like, when did you feel like you kind of discovered like your like spiritual gifts?
I knew that I had spiritual gifts to some degree when I was a kid. I would just know things that most kids didn't know. My very first memory was from when I was 1. I knew the big red guy didn't exist when I was 2. And so I just knew things, and I grew up in a household where my stepdad was a severe alcoholic. So I was an empath, so I could tune into the energy of unpredictable parents to predict what was going to happen. And so I would have different premonition dreams when the first one I remember was when I was before 4, and then it came true slightly after 4. And so I knew that there was things that I was capable of doing, and I was very fascinated with angels, and I would talk to God. No one taught me how to pray, or no one taught me about any of those things. I was just fascinated with them when I was a kid. So I feel like I knew about it when I was a kid, but I didn't understand to what degree that was. I just thought it was normal. But my grandma was also a tarot card reader and an astrology reader, and she taught me how to do those things when I was like 7.
Nice. And then so as you started to go through like your teen years and experience like, normal kid school and relationships out there, when did like this, were you like focused on it kind of, I guess like, okay, I'm going to school for this, I'm going to do this when I get older, but then this kept calling you back, or like what? Talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. So I was a very driven kid, because when you don't have many things you're allowed to do, and when you're allowed to go do something, like you figure out ways to create freedom. My stepdad was like very controlling, had very specific rules for each one of us, and so when I was allowed to get a job, I went and got my first waitressing job, and I would beg the owner to give me as many hours as I could get, just because that created freedom. And so early on, that created like this sense of work workaholicism, because if I could work, that created freedom, that created safety. And so right early off in my life, I started working a lot. I wanted to go to school for business. I wanted to go to school for culinary arts. I decided not to do that. And I just kept following the energy of whatever presented itself to me at the time. And in my early 20s, I became severely depressed. I didn't want to be here anymore. I had a very good career already established, but I just felt like life wasn't worth living. And I started to get, as an adult, intuitive hits that I know now that they were intuitive hits. I didn't have the languaging for it back then, because when you get into such a depressed state, you're just in a dark hole and you don't know how to crawl out of it. And so I started getting an intuitive hit to go do yoga, specifically hot yoga. And I finally answered the call, and I started doing what's now called Hot 26. It used to be called Bikram. And they had a brand new studio that literally just opened up right down the road from my house. And that is what started my adult spiritual journey of like really understanding, like, I want to be here. This is worth living. Like, let me see where this takes me. And so from there, I ended up moving to Charleston, South Carolina to be with my now husband. I cracked my tailbone for the second time in my life. I just graduated. I stopped going to college, went back to college to get my degree because I wanted to go sell medical equipment. And I didn't plan on being with my now husband, and didn't plan on moving. And so when I went to go leave my career, I didn't have any network. I didn't have any friends in this new state that I was living in. And so when I cracked my tailbone for the second time in my life, I got super depressed because the one thing that assisted me in finding balance and joy was yoga. And so when I cracked my tailbone for the second time in my life, I had to like sit down and ask myself, like, one, what have I been wanting to do that I haven't been doing? What is bothering me now that I can get assistance with? And one, I wanted to learn how to start meditating, because at the end of yoga class, I would meditate, but like I could feel myself sinking into like this deep meditation, but I was curious and I was hungry for more, and I wanted to understand it more because I felt good anytime I would meditate after yoga class. So I wanted to learn how to do that. And then I also wanted to learn dream interpretation, because I've been having really bad nightmares for a really long time of either someone killing me or someone being killed. And so I wanted to understand what that was all about and how to interpret dreams, because I've been fascinated with dreams my whole life, because I would always remember my dreams since I was a kid. And so I found my very first spiritual teacher. She had similar channeling abilities as Edgar Cayce. For anybody that doesn't know who Edgar Cayce is the sleeping prophet. He would access the Akashic Records. He would document, he had the foresight to document every single intuitive session he gave inside of the Akashic Record readings he gave. And a lot of his predictions, a lot of his devices, even medical things that he would suggest actually would come true, and that they worked really well. And so she had very similar channeling abilities as him, because she was a trance medium. And so I learned how to do meditation, dream interpretation. I learned how to directly start talking and accessing God in a different way. And this is when I started accessing the Akashic Records. And for anybody that doesn't know what the Akashic Records are, the Akashic Records are a beautiful energetic library or a database. You can think about it as like a computer database of your soul. So anything your soul has ever gone through from the moment it's incepted, not from when you come in this physical body, but when your soul is birthed into essence. And whatever your soul has ever been through and is going through, every word, deed, thought is recorded in the Akashic field, in your Akashic Records. And we can open up the Akashic Records to receive love and guidance and support at any and all areas of our life. And so that took me on this journey into wanting to explore what spirituality was, wanting to master it. Not that we master it in a chapter, but we master it over a lifetime. And for me, I just like if I find it interesting, I want to study it. If I find that my heart is calling me to do it, I'm going to do it. So that's kind of how I got here.
Yeah. You know, so, and you got me thinking too, when you're sharing, going into that depression, you know, it's like, I really related to that as well. Like sometimes just like feeling that those overwhelming thoughts, like I don't belong here. This isn't like my world, you know, and I can relate to kind of like, I remember as a young kid, you know, kind of feeling those same, empathic thoughts. Like, I mean, they're still to this day, like I can't watch like Jackass or something when the guy, you know, hurt. I feel it, you know.
Yes.
It's like I can't watch those types of things. It's like, it's weird, but I know, like as I got older, you know, I'm 16 years sober now, but you know, I think that led to, you know, a lot of my addiction. I was uncomfortable feeling how I felt in my own skin or around other people, not relating, and like I would numb it with like drugs and alcohol and other things. And since I've been on my journey, you know, after my retiring from the military, you know, and on my recovery journey, I'm trying to learn how to be in those feelings, process those now, and like see what kind of lessons I'm being shown, or what, you know, like my higher power is trying to teach me in it. I don't always get it right, you know, but yeah, I that's just had me thinking about that in my journey. And then also like I think a lot of us are, you know, there's a lot more of us out there. And then that's why, like, I mean, not to get off on another topic, but like big pharma is so popular. It's another way to numb us from achieving what we're supposed to be, our calling is, I think.
Well, I think that, you know, there's several things at hand. One is vets are more susceptible to addiction and suicide. And then you also add with the addiction creates behaviors that maybe someone's not proud of, but the addiction takes over the personality because it becomes the personality. And so you're not really dealing with the person, you're dealing with the addiction. And it affects everyone. And for me, I grew up with an addict, and I have forgiven my stepdad, because it is not something, I think an addict can do some of the worst things that you can possibly imagine. And it is because they're being tormented. It is because there's something inside of them that's causing that torment. And it could be from others or from situations that they experience. But when it comes to the Akashic Records, I think the Akashic Records is one of the most amazing life tools that anyone can have in their toolbox. And it's because what it allows you to do is it allows you to have a self-discovery about yourself. It allows you to start to investigate, hey, why do I not feel worthy? Or why is this behavior still happening? Or why do I keep self-sabotaging? Or, hey, I keep having these conversations over and over and over again with this person. Like, how can I better communicate my feelings? And the guardians, the masters, teachers, and loved ones of your records, is they always take into consideration a 360-degree perspective. So they're not going to always tell you you're right, which is important, because we're not always right. And they're going to always talk to you from a place of non-judgment. They become your best friends. They become the support system that you can lean on, that allows you to navigate some of the darkness in your mind and that's happening around you. But it also helps you tap into your light and helps you understand you are worthy to be here. You're amazing. Why don't we look at the situation from a different perspective? Because sometimes when we have that perspective shift, it changes the way we instantly feel. It drops our nervous system and it allows it to relax instead of being in fight or flight, which is amazing. to deal with. Because if you've been in flight or fight for most of the time, or most of your life, or for a long period of time, it's hard to get out of fight or flight.
Mm. I almost feel like you're already reading me. But yeah, let's talk more about, like, how you said a little, like how you were kind of led to Akashic Records, but how did you, you're also a master Akashic Records teacher. Like, talk about that journey and like what it takes to get there.
Yeah. So I have a program that's called Sacred Awakening. I teach people how to open their records for themselves and for others. I have some students that want to just learn it for themselves and others that want to be practitioners as well. I never intended on actually becoming an Akashic Record teacher. I just kept having people ask me to teach them. And it was something that was so interesting because I always had this desire of wanting to start a business. I just didn't know what it was. I always had this desire of, I want to help people. I just didn't know what it was. And like, finally I was like, okay, this is the year. This is the year that I'm actually going to do it. And I'm going to quit my career. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to like go into my business. I'm going to start this. And I had collected all these tools over the years that I found interesting. And so life coaching certificate, Reiki, Ayurveda, yoga, Akashic Records, hands-on healings, like meditation teacher, all that stuff. Like I learned all sorts of different stuff. And when I started my business, I had a coaching background. I was already mentoring people in my previous career. That was very natural that people would just come to me and ask me for advice. When you're an empath, you usually have a big sign on your head that says, please tell me all your problems. I'll tell you answers that you don't have for yourself, that I also don't have for myself, but I will have them for you. And it's just the gift of the empath. And so I started my business, and when I started my coaching business, I would talk about the Akashic Records. I would talk about things, and I never expected anybody to go, hey, can you teach me that? And finally, I just had too many people asking me. So I was like, okay, I'll start teaching it, because I've been playing in the records my whole life. Like, even though I started accessing them as an adult, I've been accessing them my entire life, because I would access information when I was a kid, and I would know things about adults that they didn't know about themselves. And it was, again, to keep myself safe. And so for the Akashic Records, I have taught over 2,000 students how to access the records. I've been teaching it since 2017, Sacred Awakening. It's one of my most favorite things to teach, just because I think it's one of the most amazing tools that couples well with any other tool or stands alone by itself in your toolbox. Like, it's just a great life tool to have.
Mm. Yeah. And going back to like what you were talking about earlier, it's like when I said, I feel like you're already kind of reading me. It's like we were talking about, the feeling, the constant feeling of like low self-worth or worthiness, and the self-sabotaging. I'm in one of the, my entire life, I'm in the best relationship I've ever been blessed to have right now. And, but, you can't give what you don't feel like you've received a lot of times. And I catch myself self-sabotaging with that record playing in my head of feeling unworthy. And I've been, working on my recovery program and trying to get my connection to God to fix this. We go to, couples counseling, stuff like that, so I can learn better tools on how to address this. But there's always that constant, that constant thing in my head. And so that's what really had me curious when you're talking about the Akashic Records. Like, I don't drink anymore, but it's like, I'm eating, I'll do other things kind of to just.
Yeah, there's other coping behaviors, right? Other forms of addictions that can come through because of it. And that's the cool thing with the records is you can you can take and you can go, hey, I'm noticing I'm working my recovery program, but I notice I'm eating. Tell me more about how that's playing into my addictive patterns. And that's the cool part, is they're not going to judge you. They might even bring it up without you even asking, just because they may be talking about a different topic that's not even on your radar and how it's connected. Also, just from another just angle of something that you just said, is if you weren't taught how to be in a loving relationship, you're still learning how to do that.
Mm.
And if your parents weren't, or however, whatever your family unit was, if that wasn't taught to you, you have to give yourself grace, because you're figuring it out as you go. And sometimes when you haven't been shown that, you'll go back to old patterns and behaviors, because there's where the self-sabotage come in. I only have this much container to hold love. And if something good is going on in my life, I'm going to sabotage it, because this is the only amount of love I'm capable and able to receive at this moment in time. And I think that it's important, because I used to have like the lowest self-worth. I would talk very badly about myself. I would beat people to a blonde joke before they would even say something rude to me, because I felt I was stupid. I felt I wasn't smart. I felt I wasn't worthy. I felt many different things. And when you start actually taking care of yourself, and you start changing the way that, one, you perceive yourself, and the guardians help you do that, but they'll also start assisting you and changing the language in which you talk about yourself. And when you start talking about yourself in a different way, it starts creating a different frequency, which then also changes the way you show up in your relationships, not only with yourself, but with your partner and your other colleagues and friends and family members as well. I just recently hosted our live Sacred Awakening Akashic Record retreat, and any Sacred Awakening students invited to the retreat. And then some students will bring their spouses with them, and then the spouse goes off during the day and does something. And one of the spouses came in and wanted to just share with me how grateful he was that his wife was in the program, because he could see the massive difference in how much she has changed in a short period of time. I'm talking about the matter of 4 months. And that's not a very long period of time, on how she's taking better care of herself, how she's talking about herself, how she's just showing up differently. And it's so cool to see and to witness, because not only are you changing the way that you are perceiving yourself, your people, your family, your sphere of influence is seeing you change before their eyes as well. And if they're supportive, they're going to cheer you on.
Yeah. I was relating to what you're talking about. It's like, I've always had, that gallows humor. I don't know if it's, things, childhood, I would be like the first one to start picking on myself before. So I knew somebody else was going to, or I thought, that I think I know what others are thinking about me or whatever. So I would just, make fun of myself before they beat them to the punch, or like, just, kind of gaining dark humor during my time in the military, just for coping with some of the situations and places we deal with. But it took me like, I'm still working on being able to accept compliments. When people say good things about me that I still don't believe in myself, man, I'll be like, right away, either I would like say something negative, but I didn't do this, or I'm not, and kind of like, in lack of better terms, like crap all over their compliment for me, and I've been learning to say, accept it, thank you. But at the same time, I'll still like, that inner child, I'll start like, my eyes will start watering, I'll start tearing up and stuff, that inner child's like, you really think so?
I got a trick for that. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
So next time someone gives you a compliment, take a deep breath. Like, take a deep breath and then go, put your hand on your chest and go, I receive that. Because it actually breaks the pattern of the thought that you're trying to break the excuse for why they might be giving you that compliment. So you just take a breath in because you're literally receiving the breath, and then you just exhale out and you go, I receive that. Thank you. And like, really give yourself permission to receive it. At first, you're going to feel like you're faking it. And then you'll actually start to receive compliments on a deeper level because you're acting and you're pausing and you're breaking the pattern in the conscious mind of what you would normally do in that response.
Yeah, pause is such a powerful tool. I need to practice more and learn, especially like you're talking about, you know, I mean, I feel like I've been living in fight or flight for a long time. And when another thing that I've been struggling with that I need to work out. Might as well just put all my stuff out there right now. But I'm like I'm not like full blown like a lot of those TV shows hoarder, but
Okay.
I hold on to a bunch of stuff that no longer serves me because I think I may need it sometime. Like this insecurity of something like this could be of use sometime, or it's just like, you know, it's like maybe I could get some value for it and sell it instead of just donate it and get it out. And me and my girlfriend were kind of like arguing about that the other day. And I right away, you know, got defensive in that fight or flight mode. And instead of pausing and because I know she's right, but then the ego and everything comes in. And then I created an argument because I fire back saying stupid stuff that I, you know,
that you regret later on.
Yeah.
So do you want me to share what the Guardians are sharing with you about it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So for anybody listen to this, if this lands for you or whatever part, you can receive it and whatever part doesn't. We talked about doing a reading earlier, so I'll share a couple things that they're sharing just because you brought this up, and I think like a big sticking point in terms of your part of your catalyst for healing on the next level. So the Guardians are saying that one, it's overwhelming. So the thought of actually going through everything is extremely overwhelming. So then the body goes into fight or flight. And so then your mind can't actually think clearly on how like to even figure out how to handle the task at hand. And so then what they're saying is instead of, when your partner is talking to you, instead of leaning towards her, take a step back because it creates some space for you to breathe. Not that you're trying to run away from her or anything like that, but it gives you space to not feel claustrophobic in the situation. Because if you can make more space around you, it creates the illusion or the capacity to let go of overwhelm by just having that simple act of stepping backwards. And it's not that you're going backwards in time. It's not that you're going backwards in what you're thinking or doing, but you're making it, it's creating a bigger space for you to be in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a physical action that you can take with your body. When you're getting stressful situations and overwhelm, what ends up happening is on a subconscious level and somewhat on a physical level, but this is more subconscious. It almost feels like you're in a coffin, like you're in like a box that you can't get out of, and it's tight. It's you don't have space to breathe and space to navigate that. So instead of going, okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna fix all of this. We're gonna start getting rid of everything. You're gonna start with one drawer.
Yeah.
Go clean up one drawer.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I've had like for other topics that could be used in this thing, like you know, I've had an old sponsor in my recovery journey talk about, you know, his saying was, how do you eat an elephant? You know, and it's like one bite at a time. And
Right.
that's like tackling these things. And I've had that advice before too. I think I passed a lot of my um, holding on to stuff to my oldest daughter
Hmm.
as well. And, you know, the only way to kind of try and break that cycle is to be the example, you know, and start
Yeah,
actually
absolutely.
doing it myself.
I
I
see you
just,
guys doing some sort of yard sale or something like that in the fall. And because then that way it doesn't feel like you're just giving it away. And but what they're saying is, one, they're wanting me to tell you about the basket trick. And so I'll tell you about the basket trick in just a second. But start with the drawer, and then every day set a timer on your phone where you're going to spend 10 minutes organizing something or 10 minutes sifting through stuff. After 10 minutes, because it's going to feel like the first 2 minutes is going to feel like an hour. But once you start doing this every day and it's 10 minutes, you have it set into your routine around doing it for 10 minutes, you'll start getting things organized. But don't go and start in this room, then go to that room, then go to that room. Like, stay in one spot, and
mhm.
you're staying in that spot for 10 minutes. And this is the basket trick. What I will do is I will put a basket in front of the doorway of the room that I'm in, meaning that is the barrier to not cross over the threshold. And the basket is there for anything that doesn't belong in that room for me to put it into that basket to go take care of. Because like I'll have bad ADHD and I'll start going in every single room and doing everything. And like then I'm like in every room before the 10 minutes is up, right? So instead, you have focused time, 10 minutes. And they're saying you can play with 10 minutes, go to 15 minutes. Anything over that will start feel a little overwhelming in the beginning, but just set your timer and just go, I'm gonna take care of this. And when you're done, you're done. It's okay if that's all the time that you have. Because I think that sometimes people feel, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it all at once. I'm gonna throw everything into a big pile and I'm gonna make this gigantic mess. And then I'm like looking at the mess and you're like, what do I do with this now? I don't even know what to get to this. And so instead, start with the drawer and
Yeah.
then do something else and have tiny little things and use the basket for organizing and stuff like that. Also, in the beginning, do not get your partner involved because this is something that you
Mhm.
will thoroughly enjoy doing the more that you do it on your own, because you don't have someone that going, hey, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. It's going to just be for you to start with, I'm organizing this. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it will go to, okay, now I'm going to start sifting to get rid of things. Donate. I want this. I don't want this. I love this. Ooh, I really love this, but I know I don't need it anymore. So can I give it to someone I really love that it was going to appreciate it, or can I sell it? And so you'll start sifting through it, but you got to have your clear space be in your own mind, is what they're saying, in order for you to be able to cipher through it. And when you're ready, you can ask for help. But until then, you got to be in a good space with it first before you can ask for help. And then you can do a yard sale this fall if that feels good to you.
Yeah, it's funny too because she's been like all about like, you know, helping and clean, you know, wanting to get rid of a lot of this stuff. But what I find myself is when she starts like grabbing stuff and organizing, you know, I'm attached to the stuff. She's not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so much easier for her to where I need time to like really like, oh man, you know, feel the breaking up, I guess, of me and this
Yeah.
object or whatever it is.
Because you probably
You know?
bought it because you thought it was going to solve a problem at some point in time, but some of the purchases weren't actually that. It was just to solve something that there was a void within you. And so that's what you're working through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just like, I mean, I think with a lot of it, I'm trying to get into the mindset of like, yeah, I could try and sell these things even online, set up a little marketplace or whatever. But then I start getting overwhelmed with the time of setting those up and
No.
everything as well. And it just feels like, just let it go serve someone else. Maybe there's
Yes.
someone else that.
And there's on Facebook, there are what is it called? It's Buy Nothing Facebook groups. And you can donate things that you're like, I don't really want to go and give that to Goodwill, or maybe it's something big that you don't mind giving it away, but it's big and you want to carry it or something like that.
Yeah.
Or there's just things that you're like, this would be great if someone like was just starting a house or something like that. You can donate things on the Buy Nothing Facebook group. It's a local Facebook group in your area that someone can come and pick up the stuff and things like that. Or you can donate it to, groups that are in need of something as well. I'm a big believer in, unless it has like, I can flip it really quickly and I can get money for it really quickly. Otherwise, if I don't want to deal with the hassle of organizing, putting the thing up, talking to the people, negotiating with the people, I'm just here. I'm a big give it away person, because I know someone else is going to appreciate it too.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of trying to get myself mentally for a lot of these things. Something else that I wanted to talk about that I'm kind of learning about myself, and you could verify, this thought. But I was watching some of your videos, and thing that I'm very interested in being better at is manifesting things into my life, like positive, abundance, some prosperity. This podcast has been like a healing journey for myself. And, I would like it to grow as well, but I feel like some of the things that we've already been talking about is I'm unconsciously self-sabotaging myself from being able to, truly manifest.
When you make space in your home, you make space for new opportunities. So, this is going to sound so silly, but anytime I do a big launch for my business, I would go make sure my trunk was clean in my car, my inside of my car was spotless, because if it's clutter, it's taking up space. It's taking up energetic space that something else can come in, because we only have so much energetic space to hold for ourselves. And you can think about it like as a cup, like there's only so much space that we hold in our energy field. So when there's clutter in our house, or there's clutter in our cars, or clutter in other places, it's hard to manifest the things that we want, because the space is already occupied with, you fill in the blank, stuff, worries, stress, whatever. And so make space for it. And that's why I also think meditation's a really good healing tool as well, because when we sit down to meditate, one is we're listening to the answers to our questions, to our prayers from God, universe, source, whatever sacred title you give that sacred frequency. And when we sit down to meditate, what we're also doing is we're letting go of the junk out of our energy fields, out of our physical body, out of our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual body, our inner child, our ego. And we're making space for that thing. And right now we're doing our, it's called our Soul Evolution Masterclass series. And if any of your listeners want to join, it's absolutely free. You can go to theamyrobeson.com/soul. And we're doing free Akashic Record healings right now inside the Akashic Records during this series. And the big topic that always comes up is about manifesting. Like, how can I manifest? Like, the Akashic Records are one of the most amazing manifesting tools. And the reason why it's one of the most amazing manifesting tools is, one, I've already said this, it takes into consideration everything about your soul, not just that moment in time. Because if, let's say, you made an agreement before you came here that you wanted to learn self-reliance, you're going to have opportunities come up over and over and over again where self-reliance experiences allow you to cultivate that. If, let's say, you were wanting to experience as a soul evolving, maybe it's to understand and to love on a deeper level. Well, there's going to be opportunities in your life that allow you to do that. And so when it comes to manifesting in the records, they take into consideration everything about your soul. They're also taking in consideration everything that your soul wants to experience in this lifetime. And then they're answering from that perspective. And they're also answering from the perspective of that moment in time. And so if you take action, or if you're wanting to do something, they're going to give you direction from that moment in time. And so what I mean by that is, I decided I wanted to go get my yoga teacher training certificate. This was going to be a way for me to get over my fear of public speaking. Well, at the time I worked insane hours in my career, and I had to hire someone privately to do yoga teacher training with me. So I really wanted to work at a studio. And if you didn't get your certificate at the studio, it's very hard to get a teaching certificate job at a studio when you're first getting started. So I asked the records, like, hey, I want to get a job at a yoga studio. How do I do this? And so the guardians are like, here are 3 studio options. One wasn't a studio, but it was near my house. Another one was a studio near my house. And another one was a studio that was not near my house. They gave me 3 specific things to do. The one near my house I didn't do because I knew it was going to work for my schedule. The studio near my house, they said, go talk to the owner, ask to observe the kids class. Kids class wasn't even on my radar. So they told me, go ask to observe the kids class. And so I did. I went to the studio, asked to observe the kids class. He said, yep, we're going to have the kids class tonight, or it was the next night. I don't remember. And so I observed it. And then 2 weeks later, he called me back and said, hey, do you want to start co-teaching the kids class? So it was my foot in the door to get into the studio. If I wouldn't have taken action on that, I wouldn't have manifested that teaching gig at that moment in time. And so they're always taking in consideration what your paths are, what you can take action or not take action on. And then you have free will. So it's up to you on what to take action on. But you can look at something from many different angles, and then they're going to tell you how to manifest it. So if you have questions how to manifest it, they're going to tell you how to manifest it and the steps to take to get there. They're never going to give you step 10 before step 1. You've got to always start with step 1.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They say that in some of the rooms I attend too. You got to, start with step 1.
Yep.
But also wanted to ask you about, and this is something that I recently been looking into, because like a lot of the low self-worth things are tied to maybe shame or guilt or something, like parts of me that I haven't learned to accept or love. And I know you're familiar with shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
You mind talking a little bit about shadow work and its importance?
Yeah. So we all are both light and dark. And just because there are dark parts or shadow parts of ourselves doesn't mean they didn't serve a purpose at one point in time. Shadows are created based on a moment in time that you required to act and behave a certain way in order to protect yourself. Eventually, we outgrow that shadow, but that behavior and that pattern is not necessary for us to take with us where we're going next. And so it's important to look at the saboteur. It's important to look at the parts of us that are not in alignment with where we want to go. And so those are our shadow parts. And when you learn to talk to these different aspects of your being and lovingly let them die, I think that most people think that we just die once at the end of our life and we're done. We actually have many, 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 many deaths along our way if we're lucky. Because that means we've lived a long life. And so these deaths are aspects of ourselves that are no longer necessary to bring forward into the future. And we have to be honest. Sometimes it's really hard to be honest with ourselves. Like, hey, I'm the one that's doing that. Or, hey, I'm the one that was wrong in that situation, and I keep having this explosive behavior, I keep having this posturing behavior, or I collapse, or I freeze, I fawn, whatever it is that your normal coping mechanism, depending on the situation, is, you can take a look at that. And if you're looking at, like if unworthiness is constantly coming up, you can look at like, well, what shadow part of my being feels unworthy, and why does it feel unworthy? And the shadow wants to fight for its life. It wants to fight for its consciousness, because it was created, and at one point in time, it totally served you. It totally served you, but it's not serving you anymore, which is important to understand.
So it's similar to like holding on to a lot of the clutter,
Yeah.
It's not serving me anymore. I can do a physical version of what I need to do spiritually or whatever, by lovingly passing along these things that no longer serve me. I wanted to ask about, working with traumas and triggers as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we've kind of been touching a little bit on that, but me being retired military, that's been diagnosed with PTSD, and I've been working through that. My girlfriend is a firefighter EMT that deals with trauma on a
All sorts
daily
of stuff.
basis. Like, what do you have experience working with veterans and like first responders?
Yeah, I've had vets. I personally have had PTSD myself. And so when it comes to a trigger is always an invitation to heal something. So instead of looking at it as, oh my God, I feel like I'm panicking. Oh my God, or you have a reaction to something, because sometimes it can be panic. Sometimes it can be a flashback. Sometimes it could be a sense of like, I got to control this thing right now. Like I can't help this, or a person's really annoying you. Whatever the trigger is, it is always an invitation to heal something. And when we take a step back and we go, what is the invitation here? What am I trying to heal? And why is that coming forward? And sometimes it can be obvious, like especially if you were in war and hearing fireworks or loud bangs, or if you were even grew up in a household where being beaten or loud noises like that trigger something like that. There are triggers. And so one is, if you're in severe PTSD, you definitely want to work with someone one-on-one to help with those. But if you're in a place where you're just noticing where it's like, I have these triggers, like I have these coping behaviors, but like I really want to get over it, the records can come in and help you with that, because one, you can stop and go, okay, I had this trigger today. Tell me more about it. Even if you don't even know what questions to ask, you can say, tell me more about it. I had this like really, it's like a really weird trigger, but my trigger was, I did not like when people would pack my groceries at the grocery store, because like the way that they would pack them, I would get like severe anxiety over it. Like I needed to put things on the conveyor belt in a particular way, and I wanted them to pack in a particular way. And like if I could take over packing, I would. So part of my way of dealing with the trigger is to actually let someone pack my groceries. And some days it's fine. And then some days I can really see that there is an aspect of me that wants to control the situation, because if I'm in control, I'm safe. And so anytime I notice that trigger's coming up, like recently, I'm usually really good with this, but we just got new grocery store bags that are like reusable bags. And I could see this woman putting all sorts of different things in there that I would not have packed that way. And I will sit there and I will deal with the trigger. I will sit in the trigger because I know what it is. I know I'm not going to die. And it's just another layer of peeling back that I am safe. I am not in a bad situation where something bad is going to happen to me. And so it's a way to deal with the next onion, the next layer in the onion for it. And I'm very aware of what the trigger is, and I'm aware of all the onions that I've peeled back, but it's like, here's the new bag, here, let's test that trigger again for you. And so when it comes to triggers themselves, you can understand what the root cause is, but even if you understand the root cause doesn't mean you're going to heal it.
Yeah.
It's how do you actually, one, work through the trigger, and then two, how do you get to the next layer of healing the trigger? And sometimes the trigger, once you figure out what it is, how to heal it, you don't have to deal with it anymore. But if you're talking about deeply rooted trauma, that is going to come up with a little layer at a time so your nervous system can process it in a proper way. Because we all have trauma responses. That for me, like that sense of control is a trauma response that I work really hard on working on. And when you know what your trauma responses are, you can actually work on them. And the guardians can help you understand what those are as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking too about I've done a lot of work with the VA, and they can only do so much. I've done a lot of work on the outside in more of this type of holistic approach. But I've learned a lot too about like family cycles, and I mean, some traumas have been passed on through generations that just in my DNA. My dad was a World War II Marine. He, experienced a traumatic childhood growing up, and, a lot of trauma just being on the invasion of Okinawa during World War II. And that stuff has been passed on to me. What's something you could recommend for trying to, it's like I said, it's within the DNA. How do you?
So first off, you are already breaking cycles. Like, I want you to just acknowledge that, because by you getting curious, by you following like, oh, I want to try this holistic thing, I want to try this spiritual thing, like this feels really good, and you're doing a blend of what feels right for you. I think when you follow the energy of what feels right for you and what your unique healing path is, like, that's amazing. And then also just taking a moment to acknowledge like how far you've come, because when it comes to our parents did the best that they could do based on what they were given, and their parents did the best that they could do based on what they're given, and their parents did the best that they could do what they're given. And the hope is each generation does better, right? And as we change and we evolve, we get better. And when it comes to DNA, yes, trauma can be held within the DNA. It could be passed on, but it could also lay dormant. Like, it doesn't have to be active within it as well. Because they've done studies where, there's identical twins that live in different households, and there's a gene expression with one twin based on their household, but the gene didn't express itself, even though they hold the gene, with the other twin that was in a more loving, kind environment. And so our DNA can be manipulated, it can be healed, it can be expressed in different ways based on what our healing journey is. And when it comes to DNA work, we have 13 trillion cells in our body. The majority of those cells have DNA strands in them. We take our entire lifetime to work with our DNA. And what do I mean by that? Your DNA holds dormant memories, dormant gifts, traumas, spiritual evolution codes. Like, it holds all sorts of different information from both ends of the spectrum, from positive, negative to neutral. And when we're on our spiritual path and we're doing the things we're meant to be doing, and we're healing ourselves, we're meditating, we're going for a walk, we're being kind, we're being compassionate, we're holding boundaries, because being spiritual doesn't mean you're a pushover. you're holding boundaries, you're working through your triggers, stuff like that. You're working through your trauma, you're healing your DNA, you're activating your DNA. And so this is where, some people have more autoimmune things. Some people have cancers. Some people have different diseases that come forward because they're in their body, the ways that the genes express, that's how things express through them. And it's usually when you have some sort of illness, it is because something was not emotionally processed the proper way. And it was not dealt with the proper way. And so your physical body keeps sending the signal, hey, like you need to take care of this. Hey, you need to take care of this. I'm going to keep yelling at you until you take care of this. And so unless you're taking care of it, it's a really hard time in the physical body or in your emotional state. And so you can work on the emotional body. You can work on different aspects of yourself. So not only mentally, you got to work on your mental body. We have to work on our emotional body so our physical body feels better. And so we can do this all through different practices. And it's up to you what that looks like. For me, like the Akashic Records is really helpful. But as far as like the DNA work, don't ever assume you're susceptible to your DNA, because we get to activate our DNA all throughout our lifetime. And then we can actually go in and purposely activate the DNA too.
Okay. I know we talked, I know we're running short on time for you, but if you do have a little bit more, we had mentioned something about, and I think we did touch a little bit, but you still got time to do that personalized reading?
Yeah. What do you have, like a specific question that you want to ask?
I mean, I guess, for me is just, kind of breaking down into that, or, rewriting that subconscious, script in my head to break those chains of unworthiness and being able to, give back, the love that people are trying to give to me, accept it and
yeah. So same thing I mentioned earlier about like receiving the breath and then saying thank you. I received that. The other thing is I was getting this earlier for you, and I was waiting till they say to tell you about it. Have you ever heard of the book? It's by Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life.
No.
So let me make sure I'm saying the book right too, because I want to say it properly. Yeah, it's How to Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. That book is one of the most powerful books I think that anybody can read. And what it is she was a counselor or a therapist, and she talked about how her patients would talk to themselves. And so she wrote this book about how you can heal your life just through the way you talk to yourself. And it was a very, very pivotal book for me in my life. And I think you would absolutely have so many breakthroughs reading or listening to that book. They do have it on Audible. So if you're someone that prefers to listen, or if you want to read it, they have the book. I used to give this book away to like so many different people, but what it is she'll talk about different mantras and different things that you can say to yourself to rewire the brain itself. So How to Heal Your Life. So there's that part.
What's funny with that is part of my girlfriend will be like, oh, just what you need, another book, because that's part of my clutter thing. I have a collection of all these books, and she's like, when are you going to read half those? And I'm like, well, I'm waiting for the day where, we don't have, electronics or whatever, and
try audiobook. Have you tried audiobooks yet?
No, not really. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving, so I guess it'd be similar.
It's the exact same thing. Like I am an audio learner through and through, and I love audiobooks. And so you can actually get like a free subscription on Audible if that's something you want to do. But you can also go to your local library, and they have the Libby app, and you can get free audiobooks through the Libby app by renting the audiobook as well on the Libby app. So instead of creating more stuff in your house, try a different method if that method isn't working for you. And that message is for a lot of people out here. So if something is not working for you, try a different method. Because if you're like listening to podcasts, you'll like listening to an audiobook too, which is nice. And her voice is so sweet on the audiobook. And I've done both. I've read it, and I've also listened to it. So there's that component. And then anytime you catch yourself saying something negative about yourself, like either out loud or inside, you're going to simply say that's not true. And if you're saying it out loud, you're going to say out loud to someone, you're going to go, oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually working on talking better about myself, my self-speech. And because you know how empowering that's going to be when you call yourself out on it. Yeah. Instead of going home and feeling bad about what you just said, you're just going to go, oh, actually, I just noticed I said something negative about myself, and I'm working on that. So maybe what is a common phrase you usually say about yourself?
I mean, just I don't know, like I said, just like not, oh, I'm such a F up or something like that.
Okay, great. I used to say that all the time. Like I'm a hot mess. Like I am the biggest hot mess ever. So one, you're not a F up. So instead, whenever you hear yourself saying that, you go, oh, I said it again. Hold on. I am currently working on being a better person, and I know I'm a better person. So instead of saying you're effed up, you're messed up, you're a hot mess, whatever it is, you're going to literally say, I'm working on myself.
Okay.
Do you feel the difference of the energy?
Yeah. And there's been so many times where I have, I'll have those moments of clarity where I'll be like, yeah, I might not be where I want to be, but I'm definitely not where I used to be. And I'm grateful for when I look back at, because sometimes I'm so like looking at not attaining the goals I have in front of me that I forget, how far I've come from.
You've come really far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I need to remind myself of that. And so taking the time to acknowledge.
And that's the gratitude practice. Having a daily gratitude practice is really helpful.
Yeah. And I just started doing that with one of my friends from Malibu. We share, text each other a 5 things we're grateful for in the morning.
Oh, I love that. So you have a good accountability partner too. Yeah. So the other thing is you can have a mantra, an affirmation that you say daily to yourself throughout the day. And it could be every day I get better and better. Every day I get better and better. Great things come to me, and every day I get better and better. Great things come to me, and every day I get better and better. I had a mantra that started off as a money mantra, and then it became a money business mantra. And I swear, because I said this mantra all the time, I have a successful business because of it. And what the mantra is money flows to me easily and effortlessly, and I've created the perfect business for myself. Money flows to me easily and effortlessly, and I've created the perfect business. I would be driving, I would say this mantra out loud over and over again. I'd go to the bathroom, I would say the mantra. You can say the mantra internally, but the more you rewire your brain with positive affirmation, positive speech, positive thoughts, positive words, the more you're going to believe it.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Was there any thing that you wanted to share that I didn't get to touch on, or anything that you have coming up for like?
If you guys are interested in our free masterclass series, you can join us. I think when this airs, we'll be right in halfway through the series, but you can join us. You can catch the replays. I have always free stuff going on, so you just go to my website, theamyrobeson.com, theamyrobeson.com. Make sure you put the THE in there. Otherwise you'll get a realtor's website. But we have free masterclass. I have a podcast that comes out weekly. I do readings, things like that, in our group calls and things. So if you're interested in learning more, just check out my website. Come see us for the free masterclass because you'll get a lot out of it.
Awesome. Now, before we get ready to wrap up, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions that I normally ask guests that I have on here. And you know, I'm really curious about your answer with this one. What class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Managing money.
Okay. Yeah, that's the number one answer I get for sure. It's just like that.
Managing money. And then I think there's another class that I would recommend is emotional regulation. In terms of like, how do we emotionally regulate our body and what does that look like? So meditating in class and having a calm place to be. And so those two would be equal for me. But like, if I had to pick one, it would be money management.
Okay. Yeah. And then who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Oh, well, my stepdad, even though I have a lot of trauma from him, but he made me who I am. My mom. And then I have had so many mentors over my lifetime. So I would have to just group them all in because I'm grateful for everything they've taught me as well. So my parents and my mentors.
Awesome. And then I like going to way back with this one, but as a child, favorite toy?
Hands down, Barbies.
Nice. And then are there any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
Yeah, we usually do. My husband and I usually will support local homeless groups and women's shelters as well. So local homeless groups and women's shelters. I think that if you don't have to go nationwide on something. If you can support something locally in your community, it makes your community better. And so if you can support anything like that, I think that that's really important.
I agree. Yeah, I try and encourage. If you work in your own backyard, you know, you're doing your part to help make a difference. And you know, unfortunately, you know, a lot of those like international or you know, you don't know what percentage is actually going to help. You know, a lot of those. At least you can kind of almost physically see it when you're administering the change. You know, locally.
Well, then I think homelessness is a really big topic too, like around in the US. Like, I mean, our homeless population is insane now. And homelessness is very complicated. It's not just here's a house, because some people choose to be homeless. So you don't know why they're choosing to be homeless. And so I think if we can get support to the people that require support, do that mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I think it can be really helpful for some people. And sometimes it's physical and money.
Yeah. Yeah. And then any message you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Take one day at a time and trust your heart, trust your gut. And we're just grateful for your service. I just keep the guardians, they're just showing like their heart's glowing. So trust your heart, trust your gut, and be safe.
Awesome. Amy, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for
thanks for having me.
Doing this.
Fun.
This was amazing. I definitely want to do more episodes like this because like, you know, part of my, like I have a lot of other veterans on too that'll talk about veteran specific organizations that are available. But I know like things that have helped me on my journey are all like more rooted in like the holistic or spiritual. And so I hope that this conversation, you know, helps others out there, and grateful for having you on today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, and then for one last plug then for anybody that wants to like know more and delve deeper into what you do.
Yeah, just come find me. It's Amy Robeson. I'm on all the social media platforms. I have a YouTube channel, and that's Amy AMYROBESON, or you can go to theamyrobeson.com/free, and then you can check out whatever our free stuff is at the time as well. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you again for your time. You have a great day.
Thanks.
Listen up! Hold on to your seats! Grab your girls, grab your beers!
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on